Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another YouTube tutorial. My name is Samantha Anderson. Thank you so much for joining me here on YouTube. I am excited for this class because doing water is something that I love doing, but pool water is not something that you paint very often, but I feel like if done right, it can look really, really cool. So we are here to explore that and have fun in the process. So if you are new to the channel, say hello down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for future classes and free videos just like this one. So yeah, say hi if you're here, if you're new, or maybe even if you're painting with someone. Even if you're watching now and painting later, I would love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. So we're gonna go over some supplies and then we will get straight to painting, okay? So for this class, and for most of my classes, I have an 11 by 14 stretched canvas. I do paint the sides, so just keep that in mind. If you want to just be able to put it straight on the wall, I do recommend painting the sides. Just paint it as you go, and then if you forget, or if maybe you just don't like painting the sides, you can always come back with maybe a solid color, either a complementary color, that's maybe like a blue, or even like a brownish yellow just on the sides, or maybe a clean black, and that can also help finish out the canvas without worrying about too much about forgetting to go on the side. So that's also an option. With this, I also provide traceables inside of my Patreon. If you're new to the channel, I have a Patreon where I give out traceables, monthly tutorials, weekly classes and things like that to help stretch your ability and teach and provide quick tips and things like that. Traceables are one of those little perks. A lot of artists have a buy me a coffee thing. I don't have that. I have a Patreon where you can become a member for $5 a month. And starting this month, it's going to be, starting next month, I'm going to be switching my billing method due to some Patreon stuff. I will leave a link down below to that post on Patreon where you can kind of read the reasoning why. So I won't get into that now. You can go read it for yourself. But I'm switching from like a monthly payment where anytime you sign up, you'll get charged, and then you'll get charged again on the 1st of every month. That's not really how most subscription-based things work. Typically, the day that you sign up, the next month on that day, you get billed again. So for instance, if you sign up for a subscription, I don't know, Spotify on the 17th, next month on the 17th, you'll get billed. That's how most subscriptions work. So for the membership, I've always been like a month, everything's kind of in a month. But now because of the stuff going on in Patreon and Apple and things like that, I am going to be changing that to like a normal billing subscription. So if you're not a patron and you don't want to become a patron, just kind of ignore that whole spiel. But if you are a patron or you want to become one, starting in September, so not this month, but next month, you will have the chance to just sign up and then whenever you sign up, that's your date, just like a normal subscription. So you won't have to worry about what time of the month you are you're signing up and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of just a little update there. So back to the traceable. I provide traceables for all of my live classes. So any of my live classes, or my just in general tutorials on my YouTube channel, I have a traceable in my Patreon that you can go grab. It's $5 a month, and again, whenever you sign up, that's how, you have 30 days, or I think 30 to 31 days from that date. Okay. So yeah, that is there. There's gonna be, I'll post a there's a pinned comment down below, as well as the link is in my description of this video, as well as you can also just search Samantha Anderson Artist Patreon, and you can go into one of my collections is traceables, and it's going to be in there. So yeah, so there's that. You do not need the traceable. The traceable is for those who, I know when I first started out painting when I was in college, sometimes having nothing on the canvas was really scary, and not really having a direction to go to. Like it was hard for me to imagine stuff without having something on the canvas. So this is my way of giving back to the people who support me, and giving them an opportunity to provide something for their canvas to help them kind of get their bearings. And if you're not a new painter and you don't feel like you need that, that is totally fine. You don't need it. You can draw it on yourself, or you can come in later and draw everything on it, or you can just kind of draw it as you go with your paints. That's totally fine too. But if you are someone who maybe needs that little extra bit of direction on your canvas before you get started, traceables are a really, really great resource for that. I know a lot of people say, oh, traceables are cheating or whatever, like you should be able to draw it. Drawing and painting are two very different skill sets that not everybody has, and that is okay. These classes are mainly for painting and teaching you how to paint and use acrylic paints with a paintbrush and water and canvas. I'm not teaching you how to draw. And if you're like me, where sometimes you do have the time, or you do have the skill to draw, like, can I draw a circle? Yes, I could have drawn this myself. I could have. But I'm a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids, and sometimes I don't always have the time to put into drawing something, and I want to be able to paint. That's my love. That's my love, is painting. I do like drawing. I do enjoy it. But in this setting where I want to get to painting, I don't want to spend an extra hour trying to get the perfect circle. So having something like this, I do create these on my iPad that a lot of you did help pay for. I think like 2.5 years ago. It was for my birthday. You guys helped me buy it. And I'm so thankful and grateful, because that helps me give back to you guys. It's like the symbiotic relationship, and I'm so grateful for the artist community where we get to do that. So I have these 3 classes, and we all help each other. So with that, I have that in there, my traceable and all the traceables. If you sign up for the $5 tier, you will get access to all the other traceables. I've been talking a lot about my Patreon. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so that is that. I'm going to stop talking about that. So again, you don't need it, but it's there if you would like it. Let's go over some other supplies. I have 2 things of water. I suggest always having 2 things, because sometimes when your water gets muddy, you need some clean water, and sometimes I can't always get up and go get it. So I have 2 waters ready for me: paper towel, palette knife for pre-mixing my colors, and then because I have a glass palette, I do have a scraper that allows me to clean my palette very, very easily. And just a side note, I have an Amazon storefront with all of the supplies that I use, and or kits that are very close to what I use, maybe if you're in Canada or something like that. Everything that I use is in that store. So I have my teacher favorites. I also have things for little artists that use like water painting and things like that. So if you have kids, that's a really great resource. Go to my Amazon and look at what I have. Everything's on there, and there's some really great resources on my Amazon storefront. That is also linked down below. Let's go over some colors, and then we'll go over the brushes. So colors for today, it's kind of up to you. So if you want to do like a donut like this one, which I feel like is just very, very fun and colorful, you're going to need a lot of different colors. If you want to do just something really simple like a red one or a pink one or a yellow or just something very, very simple. Did I say yellow twice? I don't remember. Just whatever color, favorite color. I would suggest maybe just don't do like in the blues to purple ranges, green to purple, all the cool colors. I would suggest not using just because there's already so much blue in the background. So I would suggest maybe having a fun pop of color. But we're going to be doing this fun, this very, very fun, brightly colored donut, sprinkle donut. So we go to church every Sunday to our church service, and one of the elderly couples has started bringing donuts every week. And after the service, by this time, they just know. They know that there are donuts to be eaten. And so when the kids get out of their kids class, they'd like bolt to the donut table. That's what it's called now. It's the food table, but it's the donut table. And they always want the pink one with sprinkles, or what if there's no pink one with sprinkles, it's whatever other one with sprinkles. Like it has to have sprinkles. My girls are very adamant about their sprinkle donuts. So this one brings me joy and reminds me of my girls, and sadly reminds me that summer is almost over. But that's another. That is for another time. Yeah. So. I mean, for many of us, summer is already over. My kids started school last week. So, okie dokie. I'm gonna stop talking about that. I am chatty today. I am so sorry. Take a big breath. Okay, let's go over some colors. So, the basic colors that I have for all of my classes are gonna be your black, your white, and your raw umber. Now with this, again, all of these colors are going to be up to you and what you want to paint for your donut. You can pre-mix these colors, you can have them on hand. The only thing that I would recommend is having a teal or like a blue for the water, and that will help just create a vibrant color instead of having to mix, because whenever you mix, sometimes your paint starts to get a little bit muddy. So I would recommend having some sort of turquoise green that you can pull from, so that you're not muddying colors and things like that. So I have my white, black, and brown, and then I have a whole ton of colors off to the side that include green, blue, red, orange, purple, just all the colors that we're going to be using as the sprinkles. You can choose just a couple colors. In terms of colors, it's not going to be exact. Please don't paint it exactly like the reference, because that would take a lot of time and you're probably not going to get it exactly like it. That's why I didn't put the sprinkles on here, because that really doesn't matter. It's going to be random anyways. So we're just going to have fun. But I would suggest having some sort of turquoise blue for the water. Okay. And that's pretty much it for the colors. You are going to want to have some sort of palette knife if you have like a flat surface, because especially for beginners, pre-mixing your colors is so helpful. I didn't learn this trick until later in my like teaching career, and it's a game changer being able to pre-mix large batches of paint without ruining like wear and tear on your brushes. You get your water dirty before you even started painting. And sometimes it's harder to mix when you have like brushes, because all of that paint will get in here and you end up wasting paint. Sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 different colors inside your paintbrush that you might not know is there. So when you go to put it on, it's like streaks of like, that red was not mixed into my pink, you know. So I highly recommend having a palette knife that you can pre-mix all of your colors. Okay, that was a long 15 minutes of going. Usually I try to keep it under 10, but I had the extra Patreon stuff that I had to go over. So let's go ahead and get started. Who's excited? I'm excited. I'm gonna grab some water. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and pull out some, dark blue. Sorry, not dark blue. Your turquoise green. Actually, I'm going to pull out my white first. I really like having my white always in the same spot. Because it's just out of habit. I tend to always go to the same spot for my white. So if I put it in a different spot, I'll think that I don't have any left. And then I'll put more on my palette without realizing that it's like on the other side of the palette. So I always put my white out first. It's just how it has to be. And then we're gonna get some of this teal blue. This teal blue is probably one of my favorite colors. As you can see, this is my water bottle, and this is the color. It's exactly the same. Okay, let's go ahead and put this on. So I have these 2 colors, and then I am gonna get some phthalo blue, and that is going to be for darkening the colors. If you have an ultramarine blue, that would work, but I highly recommend having a phthalo blue, because phthalo blue has a little bit more of a richer, warm kind of bluish green tone to it, versus ultramarine has a kind of a cooler tone to it. So I would recommend the phthalo blue for this. All right, and so these are the colors that we're going to be using for the background. I'm going to go ahead, if you prefer, you can tape this off. You can tape it off so that you can kind of figure out, oops, hold on. Okay, sorry, dropped my palette knife. You can tape this off so that you can keep this all covered, so that when you're doing your background, it is all covered, and then when you're done with the background, you can peel it off, and you'll have like your canvas, like a new part of your canvas to paint. Otherwise, we will be kind of half painting and unpainting it throughout the class, so feel free to do that with me. Okay, let's go ahead and pre-mix our colors. I'm going to take a big chunk of white, large chunk of white. And I'm going to go ahead and put a good chunk of this teal in here, or turquoise, whatever color you want it to be. And we're going to make it just a tad bit darker with some phthalo blue. And we're going for kind of like the medium color. So not quite the darkest color, but kind of in between, so then we can go, either darker or lighter. So kind of just a medium color. Okay, that is a pretty good color. I'm going to add a little bit of a darker, I'm going to add a little bit more phthalo blue, because I just feel like it's a little bit too green. Okay, I like this color. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our large filbert brush, and we are going to, or if you have a larger brush, you can also do that. Actually, let's go and do that. I have this very large brush. If you don't have one like this, that's totally fine. You can use this one. And we're going to do what's called a wash. Now, I love doing washes because I really get a feel for where everything is. And right now we're just trying to cover the canvas in our blue color, okay? It's gonna take just a tiny bit of water, and I'm gonna kind of brush it off so that's not too wet. And we're going to cover the canvas in this blue color. Okay, part of this is really just getting all that white covered. So I'm going to focus on the outer edges first, because out of sight, out of mind, I tend to forget that the sides of the canvas exist once I start, you know, painting, or I can often forget them. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the under parts. And I'm going to ignore the left side of this for a little bit, because that's where I'm holding my canvas. And we're doing a fairly light coat. And this is so that we can still see our whatchamacallit, our donut, our floaty. So if you don't have a big brush like this, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and just use your small brush. And it's the same thing, the same process. You just won't be working as fast, which is totally fine. So now that I've got a good chunk of that on here, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. And this is going to be wet for just a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and use that to our advantage. And we're going to go ahead and just mix in some dark colors. And when I say dark colors, I mean just more solid colors in terms of how thick your paint is. We're just going to kind of go back and forth just so that it's not one solid color, it's all mixed up. This is not going to be a even, perfectly blended background. It's going to have texture to it. And while this is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and put in some more dark blue and teal. And I'm just going to add this while it's all still wet. I'm just kind of dabbing my brush. Dabbing my brush all around while this is still wet. And you can always kind of gently go over the tops of it and blend it together a little bit. And that's pretty good for now. I'm going to go ahead and grab a clean brush, get it wet, and then figure out where my where my lines are. And what you're going to do is you're actually just going to take out the paint. I want to really iterate that I am not putting anything on the canvas. I am taking off the paint. And every time I take my brush off the canvas, I am wiping it down. And you don't have to have all of the paint off. I'm just focusing on the outline. Just focusing on the outline of this. And if you need to turn this, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and do that. Again, I'm not putting anything on the canvas, but rather taking off the blue. You'll notice I'm using the natural curve of my hand to my advantage. And again, you don't have to take all the blue out, but not having really dark parts in your donut will be helpful later. And again, I'm just kind of, because this is still fairly wet, I'm just running over it with my brush, with my little bit wet brush, and I'm practically reactivating the paint that's not quite dry. that is close enough. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this to the side real fast so I can get this right here. All right. So that's really, really helpful to have for a later date. So essentially, if you taped it, the time that you would spend taping essentially is that amount of time that you just spent kind of taking that out. So that's kind of how that works. We're going to go ahead and create some other colors for our dark spots. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take some of this blue that we already created for our general color, and I'm going to add some dark blue to it. And then I'm also going to get out my black. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of black to this. Now don't add too much because it will gray it out, and that's not really what we want to do. I'm going to add a little bit more teal to it as well because we want to keep the same color profile. We just want it to be darker, right? Okay, so here's this color. And I'm going to go ahead and get out my round texture brush. Okay, and we're going to put on, if you don't have a texture brush, it's simply a, I have a medium round brush that I can really do whatever I want with because I'm not worried about keeping the bristles like clean and not clean, clean's the wrong word. I'm not worried about keeping it like all the bristles straight. I often will go up and down every which way to blend. It's my blend brush, it's my cloud brush, yeah, it's my texture brush. So right now I'm just kind of trying to see where the lines I had. If you didn't put these lines in before, then it's kind of just whatever lines you want to create. And the lines are like more defined than some of the other ones, but not quite, not like, it's a little bit blurry. All right, so once you get all your lines figured out, you're gonna go ahead and just fill it in. And because we're doing such a dark color on a lighter surface, we are going to be adding another coat of this to make it fairly flat. Alright, so I'm going to get a little bit of water on my brush and go ahead and start putting in little, you have triangles, and we're going to go ahead and just, with this brush, we're going to go ahead and just put in all sorts of shapes. And you're going to want to kind of blend the edges a little bit. And don't forget to kind of blend it into the donut shadow. And while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and see how this is going to implement. While this is still wet, I'm going to kind of do little sections by section. You're going to take a different brush with a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of light blue, and you're going to go in between all of these sections that you're creating, and you're going to kind of just blend them together a little bit with the, maybe more with the blue than anything. So I have my blue in one hand, my light blue, and my dark blue in the other hand, and I'm kind of switching back and forth. And this helps you, this kind of helps you blend it all into one thing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just blot together, do a bunch of different shapes in here, and before that's dry, I'm gonna come in here with my lighter blue color. I'm gonna blend together all that I can. Just kind of going, weaving in and out of all these spaces. This is going to take a lot of layers, just layering. So just take your time. All right, and you're just gonna keep moving. You're gonna keep doing that same thing, moving around. All right, I'm gonna grab a bunch of this blue and put it on this side. And you can try different techniques. So that I was kind of going back and forth. I'm gonna try this where I'm gonna put this blue over this whole section, and then I'm gonna come back and add in the darkness and see how much of a difference that makes. It's not as dark, so I think I'll probably maybe start with the dark one first. Yeah, I think going back and forth is probably the best option. All right. Gonna add a bunch of light blue here, just kind of sporadically. And then we're going to add some of our dark blue. And I'm trying to follow a little bit of the pattern. It's kind of like squares over here. I'm kind of trying to keep that formation a little bit, but mostly just trying to make sure that everything gets blended in a little bit. And don't forget to take this color over the edge. I think that just like, I have it on my nose. Just spit at me. I'm going to come back in and kind of do the same thing to the bottom. Just put a little bit of the same type of technique on the side. I don't typically put a whole lot into the sides of the canvas, but I do like to extend at least a little bit of what's going on, just so that it doesn't look out of place at least. Just so that it doesn't it doesn't distract. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do another coat of this color on here. And I think I might need to go a tad bit darker if I'm being honest. I think it's good, but I think I need to go darker. But the second coat definitely makes it look better. So I'm gonna go a little bit darker. I'm going to keep a little bit of this off to the side, and I'm going to take the rest of this and put in a little bit more teal, black, and dark blue. And that dark blue is that Phthalo Blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in a coat of this. Yeah, I think that's better. On the edges, it's very kind of randomized on the edge. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this color and kind of darken some of the parts that are already in the dark. And we might need to do this second. I think we probably need to put in our lights first before we go in and darken darks. So yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna go ahead and take a small brush here, and I'm gonna take some of this blue, and I'm gonna add quite a bit of weight to it. Not too much, we still want it to be blue. I'm going to start making lines that just go all over the place. And try to follow the natural lightness that your canvas already has. And we still have one more step before we add in our lines. So we're just adding another layer of lightness, but not necessarily like all of the lines yet. just adding another layer of that lightness, that light blue. And I do have quite a bit of water in my paint right now, in my brush. And if you need to kind of brush it out, maybe it's too much, you can get like a cleanish brush. There's a lot of jagged lines. There's a lot of ones that connect. And if you feel like a liner brush would be better for this one, you can use a liner brush if you would like to. Again, we still have one more step ahead of this. There's a lot more sideways lines up here. We have a couple long ones that kind of go all the way up. So in anticipation of that, we're just going to lighten up a couple of these areas. So essentially we have a couple different reflections. We have like what's on top of the water and then what the bottom of the pool is reflecting as well. So I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm just kind of putting squiggly lines in all of the already light areas and then kind of crossing all of the dark areas. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple lighter areas around here. I do a couple lines. And what's nice about using this very, very watered down version of what we're doing is it'll dry a little bit darker than what we're seeing like initially going on. Alright. And up here, the lines are a little bit different. They're a little bit more side to side. So you can kind of replicate that in its in how you add those light colors. And then you can add some lines going into into here, right there, and sorry, into the shadow. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and make a new color, and this is going to be our final color for the water. So while you guys are creating that color, it's just going to be a very, very light blue. I'm going to go over some classes that we're recently doing, and I am really excited for that. So last week, so not last week, but our last class here on YouTube, so 2 weeks ago, if you're watching this as it's premiering, you can go to my YouTube and you can go ahead and go paint this one if you love these blue colors and all things water or seascape. This was a lot of fun, and yeah, we did this one 2 weeks ago. So definitely go check it out. It's a free class on YouTube. If you joined Patreon for the traceable for this class, then you also have access to the traceable for this one. So I hope that you'll go and join me for this class, as well, as it was a lot of fun, and you can get some more water practice as well as some cloud practice in this class. Over in Patreon, I am super excited for this month. Over in Patreon, I am really excited because 2 weeks ago we were able to finish this class, and oh my goodness, I love the colors. The purples and muted oranges and pinks and teal blues. It is just all in the beautiful color palette, and actually the color that is being seen right now, I did fix some things on my camera, and these are the colors. These are the true colors of what I see, and I just love these colors. They're so pretty. So we did this one. If you're curious about just about how we did the hair, or or just the color palette and anything like that, please go on my Patreon. That is where this one is located. It is one of our monthly exclusive tutorials, and is available on the magenta tier, which is $10. You'll get a exclusive class every month, and when you join, you'll also get access to every other tutorial that I've ever posted for that tier, and it's a lot of fun. And I do include traceables for these classes as well, as I do all my classes, including the Patreon class that we just finished. We literally, we just finished this yesterday, and I just got to post it on my Facebook. So if you're on my Facebook, you would have already seen this. But if not, we finally finished our beautiful flowers. So in the last class that I did on YouTube, I showed it was pretty much just a vase. But now, look at how beautiful this vase of flowers is. I love how it all came out. And in this class, I do go over one strokes. There's 3 different types of flowers that we did in this class. There's the carnations, and then these other flowers. Well, it's not a different flower, but it's like a different, like it's looking in all different directions. So these ones are kind of more facing, and these ones are like shooting up, and then these ones are more kind of daisy-like flowers. But we also go over like glass and reflection, and there's a little bit of bokeh in here. There's a little bit of kind of abstract-y type of background because of the glass that the window is. So there's just so many different techniques that we used in this painting, and it only took 4 sessions. So if you have the time, this one is in our Cobalt Patron classes. It is the $20 tier, but in this we go week by week, which I don't feel a lot of people do. We go week by week. I show you not only each step that I do, but as well as how to pace yourself in a painting where it's gonna take longer than a 2 hour. I think this one took roughly 4.5 to 5 hours, and a lot of times during these classes where they're like strictly a 2-hour class, sometimes it takes longer than that, right, to finish a painting. So hopefully you guys can go in and check those out. But yeah, I'm really excited for those, and I can't wait to see your guys's if you decide to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these down. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and put on the next layer of our painting. And if you guys have any questions about Patreon or future classes or anything like that, please feel free to let me know on my Facebook. That's where I post like 99% of everything. So that's where you can also help suggest what we paint next, and things like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get my liner brush, and I'm gonna rinse off my fingers right now. I got a bunch of blue on them right now. Okay, I'm gonna take my liner brush and get a bunch of wet paint here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go ham and biscuits with these colors. Oh, I forgot to do the inside here. Don't forget to do the inside. Just gonna go ahead and do the inside here real fast. Just kind of blend a little bit of this in. right. I'm gonna go ahead and do the middle of this since it's already kind of wet and I can kind of blend it as I go. The trick here is to have lots of wetness. I'm gonna do these small areas first so that you can kind of get the hang of it. All right. So I want to go ahead and again use these lines. So I'm going to go ahead and just follow, and I'm going to follow these lines, and I'm going to wiggle my brush as I'm going around. And a lot of these are gonna get crossed. And I'm gonna go ahead and focus on the main light parts, and that's where I'm going to put all my lines. Because that's kind of where we already prepped a lot of these lines. And if you need bigger parts that are light, you can kind of rub it out. So for instance, there's quite a lot of white here. And I'm just gonna rub a little bit of this out. So there's a lot of like fun techniques that you can use with this, and I feel like there's not really a wrong way to do it. As long as you're willing to kind of take the time to do it. And if you can't take, if you don't have the ability to do a straight line, then this is definitely the painting for you. So the ones up here are definitely not straight at all. And I'm really trying to wiggle my brush and go back and forth just so that it's really, really random. And I'm even sketching back and forth. All right, so I'm gonna just take this and go follow down all of my largely light sections. And then we can always come back and fill in or make things bigger. And if you're having troubles kind of seeing it, if it just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines for you, which it kind of is, try to take a couple steps back, and this will help give you a little bit of perspective. Because I stream and because I teach online, I also see what you see via my screen at any given moment, which kind of is a little bit of a, like a, you know, a step back way of viewing things. So keep that in mind. I'm going to just put a little bit of lightness in here. And keep in mind that we haven't come in with the dark yet, okay? So we still have one more layer of dark before we call the water finished. I'm gonna go ahead and add a bunch more lines. Everywhere where it's light in the background, I'm going to add a white line connecting two or more of the lines that I've already created. And the more you do this, the more you'll get confident in just the almost abstract part of the randomness. All right, now I'm taking a slightly larger brush to kind of accentuate some of the lighter areas that I want to happen here. Okay, I think that's gonna be it for the light. We're gonna go ahead and let all of that dry so that we can come back and add our dark. And while we let all this dry, we're gonna go ahead and start on our donut. I'm gonna grab some yellow, orange, and I already have some white out. I'm going to pre-mix this yellow into a slightly warmer yellow. And a little bit of white, so just lighten it up a little bit. Need a tad bit. Actually, first I'm going to go ahead and grab some white. I'm going to just put it over the whole thing. So let's go ahead and do a layer of white first, so we can start off with a clean white background. And this will dry. While we mix our colors. And this is the part where we make a pretty clean line for the edges of our donut. So if you need to take your time doing that, go ahead. Whenever you're trying to do clean lines, you want to make sure that you have some sort of anchor, whether that's resting your arm on your hand or somewhere where it's not wet. You want to make sure you have some sort of anchor, or else your hand, unless you have amazingly steady hands, more like amazingly steady arms, which is practically impossible, I feel like, you're gonna need It's going to be wobbly. So right here, because it's a little bit of a bigger, bigger section, I'm going to put my wrist on my hand, which is resting on a solid surface. And I'm going to start underneath where I want the line so I can ease up to it. I'm going to go barely over where my line was. Alright, so that's going to dry while we create the rest of our colors. So I have my my yellow, and it has a little bit of green in it. I want this green to go away because I don't really want green in it. So I'm going to get rid of that. And let's go ahead and put a little bit more white, a little bit more orange, and a lot more yellow. We're going to mix this together. And this is going to create our warm yellow color that we can always make lighter. Okay, so there's that. So let's go ahead and put on a little bit of this color. And so I'm putting it on the inside section of the bottom part. And then we're going to put it on the very bottom section. And just do your best If it's not transferring correctly, try to add just a little bit of water to your paint. And the yellow goes to about right here. All right, and while this is still wet, we're going to add a little bit of orange to our mixture with a tad bit of white to create a little bit of a darker orange color. That we're going to just add in here. I think I'm gonna do a tiny bit of black just to kind of darken it up. Just so it's on a little bit more of the browner side, I think. Maybe we'll go a little bit of red. So let's go ahead and grab our red out. Actually, we're gonna add just a tiny bit of red to this instead. And again, you can add a little bit of water if it's not transferring to your canvas as easily as you would like it to. All right, and I'm just gonna barely blend these together, not by much. All right, and while this is kind of all still a little bit wet, I'm gonna grab a little bit of this yellow and add a little bit of white to it off here to the side. And I'm going to I'm gonna add a little bit of a highlighter's touch to the top side of it, maybe with a tad more of normal yellow, so just not as much of the orange yellow. Alright, now I'm going to make a slightly darker color with a little bit more black. And I'm going to come up from the bottom . And it kind of just fades out as it goes around. And it starts coming in a little bit more as a shadow color as the further you come around. So then I'm going to take that orange color and I'm also going to darken the orange section of this. And you can add in any little details that you want. It is kind of a more cartoony painting in regards to the content. So there's not really like a wrong way to do it. You can really just add whatever you want. I'm going to make this part a little bit smaller. Okay, so there's that. We're gonna go ahead and let all of that dry while we create our white color. So our white's gonna be like an off color orange. So I have a lot of colors in my white, so I'm just gonna mix that together, and it does have a little bit of an orangey white color to it. So I'm just gonna use that. There's barely any other color in it, so it's mostly white, but it is kind of got that orangey color to it. I'm gonna use my bigger brush. Alright, so I'm just going to blend out a little bit of the crossover. With the orange. I'm going to go ahead and do this outside. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of this orange and I'm just going to put a little bit of this kind of in here while it's still wet. Kind of just to tint it a couple of colors, add a little bit of interest, and as well as like shape. We're gonna add a little bit of kind of a darker color over here on the right side because our light source is over here. Oops, my apologies. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go ahead, add this around here. Add a little bit more of this whitish color. Alright, so there's that. We're just going to fix this line right here. Boop. And this line right here. So that those kind of seamlessly go into one. I'm going to make this line a bit cleaner. All right. We're gonna add, with the same color, we're gonna add a slight little white, some little freckles almost. All the way, and then we're just going to add a little white line on top of this. right, we're gonna finish out the yellow up top here. So we have kind of a darker color in the middle here of that yellow, and then it kind of goes a little bit lighter because it's reflecting some of the lighter colors. And then it comes into the sun, which is going to be its lightest version of the color. Okay. Okay. So there's that. Okay, and we are good to keep on trugging along. I'm gonna go ahead and use my, while that all dries, I'm gonna go ahead and use my dark blue and a little bit of water to darken in between every single like batch of lines. I'm gonna start over here. I'm just adding darks wherever the light white is not. And if you ever come in too strong, you can always kind of blend it out with your fingers. you'll see that just adding a little bit of that depth starts to pull it all together. Again, if you're having troubles kind of seeing things as they are, make sure that you get out of your chair and you kind of step back a bit. Don't forget to do the bottoms, sides, tops, bottoms. Just adding another couple of these like longer strokes. Alright, I think that's probably it for the water. I think it looks really good, looks pretty realistic. I've enjoyed doing it. Now if you want to keep this just like this, you can, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some different colors. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pick 3 colors. So I'm gonna do pink, purple, and let's see, I'm gonna do pink, purple, and we'll do the blue that I kind of already have here. So I'm gonna do the blue first. And I'm just going to do little streaks, little strokes. Maybe I'll do them all one direction at first. And then I'll come back and do them another way. Remember that they are random. Oops, I just stuck my hand straight in the yellow. I've been doing that all class. My hands are so dirty right now. All right. I think that's probably good. Oh, and I guess they can be different sizes. They don't have to be all the same shape and size. So I'm going to put a couple small pieces in here, maybe a couple longer ones. And that will actually help with not feeling like you have to have them all perfectly the same size. That will help in the long run. All right, so now I'm going to go into my purple. All right, and as you're putting these in, just make sure that you kind of round them out. So I'm putting them in and then I'm coming back around and like putting in the other side of them because I don't really want my brush. Maybe I should be using a different brush, I don't know. I'm going to come in with a couple smaller pieces. And it's all random. And I'm going to do my pink. I think I'm going to mix my pink a little bit with the white that we were using just so that it's not so translucent. But I do want it kind of bright. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure to intermix them and go over some of the other sprinkles. gonna add in some smaller pieces. Alright, I'm going to go back in with my purple and add a couple purple on top of the pink. And then I'm going to also come in with the blue and add a couple on top of the purple and the pink, so that they are all mixed in as if they were laid down together or sprinkled on top together. I might even go in with this darker blue too. I kind of like the darker version of this. I'm just adding a couple more pieces. We're almost done. Make sure that they're kind of going off the edge a little bit. All right, so for the last little thing, we are going to take some white and we are going to put in a couple highlights. Maybe I'll even put in some white ones in here. is going to be the end of our class, with the exception of, I'm going to do a little bit of a shine right here. All right. And if you want to go and add any other details, that is up to you. But thank you so much for joining me. If you painted this with me, please head over to my Facebook page where you can look up my group, Samantha Anderson Artist. Samantha Anderson's Artist Community. It's on Facebook. It's a free group where you can share your painting of this picture, and I would love to see it. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was helpful in learning how to do water, specifically pool water, and I hope you had a fun time. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time, same place. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.